Welcome to Archicraft, a bit of architect, your go-to podcast for modern software and solution architecture, enterprise strategies, and AI-powered engineering. Each episode is AI narrated, based on the original blog content by Dima Golodiuk at demongo.com.
You're listening to the 12th episode of the podcast Archicraft. This episode is titled AI Colleagues, the New Organizational Chart. In this episode, we explore the profound transformation underway in the corporate landscape, where AI agents are fundamentally re-engineering traditional organizational structures. We delve into the essential architectural and psychological shifts required to lead effectively in this new era of human-AI collaboration. Let's get started.
Imagine your company's organizational chart. You see your colleagues, your team, your managers. Okay, now picture that same chart. But this time, it includes not just the humans, but also highly autonomous AI agents. And we're not talking about just tools or fancy assistants here. These are embedded contributors. This isn't science fiction, not even really a future concept. It's happening remarkably quickly, like right now. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into a really insightful post by Dima Golodiuk, Dima, as he's known. It's called AI Colleagues, the New Org Chart. Our mission today is basically to unpack the profound shifts, both architectural and psychological, that are needed to lead in this new era of human-AI collaboration. We're going to be focusing specifically on what this means for people like senior architects, CIOs, and CTOs, leaders actually building and guiding these new hybrid organizations. And we'll also explore these two main human reactions Dima identifies: the fear of missing out, FOMO, and something he calls technological fatalism.
Yeah, and what's truly fascinating here, I think, beyond just the immediate wow factor of AI capabilities, is how fast this whole thing is redefining really core concepts. Things like accountability, reliability, even just performance within this kind of hybrid human AI setup. It's not just like adding a new software package. It's a fundamental re-engineering of the traditional org structure. It really forces us to think about how we architect our organizations, not just what the AI can do.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, psychologically speaking, because Dima highlights this stark divide, in the workforce. When people look at this shift, on one side, you've got the fear of missing out, the FOMO crowd. They see AI as this incredible accelerator, right? A way to boost capabilities, grab new opportunities. But then on the other side, there's this sense of technological fatalism, maybe even apocalyptic apathy, like viewing AI as this unstoppable force that's just going to take jobs and there's nothing you can do. And you might even recognize yourself or maybe people on your team falling into one of those camps.
Exactly. And if we connect that back to the bigger picture for, say, senior architects, CIOs, CTOs, the article really argues that we have to move past that simple split. Successfully integrating these AI agents, it isn't just a tech problem to solve. It demands a completely new architectural philosophy, I'd say. And really importantly, a kind of visionary leadership that can actually bridge these very human psychological gaps. It's about designing systems, yes, but also cultures that build trust, not just, fear or hype.
Right. Let's start with enterprise architecture then, because their role feels like it's being fundamentally shaken up here. The old model, those cyclical kind of static reviews of the IT landscape, it just feels totally inadequate now with AI moving so fast.
Oh, completely inadequate. For enterprise architects, the new mandate, it's not just an evolution, it's more like a philosophical shift, a really big one. We're moving away from thinking about a static blueprint, a fixed plan for the organization, to designing something more like a dynamic, living nervous system. And that's a monumental change because the system is now constantly adapting, learning, maybe even self-organizing. It forces architects to grapple with real-time data flows, predictive models, how to govern behaviors that emerge unexpectedly rather than just sticking to predefined states.
So EAs aren't just top-down designers looking backward anymore. They're becoming orchestrators, maybe even co-pilots working with AI tools, guiding this sort of evolving neural network for the whole organization. That's constantly taking in data and giving feedback. Wow. But what does that mean practically, like for their skills?
Well, it means EAs have to pivot their skills pretty drastically, actually. static planning just becomes a major bottleneck. The focus shifts. It has to. Towards ensuring data consistency across these huge, varied data sources, towards building sophisticated predictive modeling capabilities, and also identifying where they can automate the routine architectural tasks using AI itself. This frees up the human architects, to focus on the really high-level stuff, strategic foresight, ethical considerations, complex problem solving that AI, frankly, can't handle yet.
Okay, so if enterprise architects are zooming out to manage this dynamic nervous system, what about the solution architects? They're still focused on specific business problems, right? But the nature of those problems, and the solutions too, must be changing like crazy with AI in the mix.
Oh, absolutely. The core challenge for solution architects now is designing solutions that are agile, definitely human-centric, but that also smoothly incorporate AI, all while keeping the experience collaborative and, importantly, transparent. This really means prioritizing what Dima calls a human-in-the-loop approach. Meaning, architects consciously design points where humans need to intervene for oversight, for validation. It's about finding that balance between full automation and human judgment, to prevent those unexpected big errors and make sure everyone understands what the AI is doing. They're basically designing the crucial interfaces, the handoffs between human and AI workers. They're the key enablers of this new hybrid workforce, really, from the ground up.
We hear the term AI agent thrown around a lot these days, but honestly, it can still feel a bit fuzzy. What exactly makes an AI agent different from, say, a regular chatbot, or even an AI assistant like Siri or Alexa? Dima gives a pretty good breakdown.
Yeah, it's a good distinction to make. An AI agent isn't just a tool, it's a software system that has a significant amount of autonomy. So unlike a traditional bot that just follows a strict set of pre-programmed rules, an AI agent can actually show signs of reasoning, planning, even memory. And crucially, it can learn and adapt over time. It often makes its own decisions to reach a specific goal, that proactive, goal-oriented nature. That's really the key differentiator from a simple assistant that just waits for you to tell it what to do.
Okay, and the article gives us great anatomy lesson for an AI agent. For the architects listening, this is where the design challenges really start to pop up, right? It's got a brain, usually a large language model, an LLM that's its reasoning engine. Then there's memory, often boosted by external databases so it can handle long-term context, which is vital for complex multi-step tasks. It also has tools, the ability to call APIs, use other software, senses for taking in different kinds of input, text, voice, video, code, and really importantly, guardrails or safety protocols for compliance and building trust.
And what's really significant from an architectural viewpoint is how these different parts force us to rethink things like data governance and security. Like, how does an architect make sure the long-term context stored in the agent's memory doesn't suddenly become a huge privacy risk? How do we audit the brain's reasoning process so we can explain its decisions and ensure it's compliant? These aren't just nice-to-have features. They are critical architectural control points that demand really robust, thoughtful design up front.
Right. And that ability for autonomy, it clearly leads to much more sophisticated ways they can collaborate beyond just one agent doing one thing. Dima gets into how multi-agent systems, or MAS, are really becoming important.
Yes, and this is where the architecture can get truly complex, but also incredibly powerful. These systems can work together in different ways. You might have sequential collaboration, like a digital assembly line, where one agent finishes a task and passes it to the next. Or parallel collaboration, where multiple agents work on different parts of a problem at the same time for speed. You can even have hierarchical collaboration, with like a supervisor agent coordinating others. Or even decentralized collaboration, which is fascinating because it offers amazing resilience without relying on one central point of control. For CIOs and CTOs, understanding these different patterns is absolutely vital. They need to figure out which model best fits their specific business needs, their workflows, and frankly, their risk appetite.
So AI agents are genuinely becoming embedded team members, like actual digital entities on the org chart. This completely changes how we need to think about workforce planning, doesn't it? We're seeing totally new job titles emerge, things like AI workflow orchestrator, or maybe even a chief of agents. It seems pretty clear that managing talent now means managing both human and digital labor together. This isn't just an HR issue anymore, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. This demands a strategic shift right at the top from senior architects, CIOs, CTOs to really think about this blended workforce. It means designing the systems, the platforms, where these new roles can actually function, where human skills and AI capabilities complement each other effectively. The whole architecture needs to support this dynamic interaction, everything from access controls to how you measure performance needs to create a cohesive environment for both your human and your digital colleagues.
The article shares some really compelling real-world examples that make this much more concrete. Could you walk us through a couple of the most impactful ones, especially how they show these architectural shifts in action?
Yeah, definitely. Let's take the Singapore government's GovTech multi-agent framework. It's a great example. They actually model AI agents as virtual government officers. So you have business agents coordinating the workflows and data agents that execute specific technical tasks, like running complex graph queries. For a CIO, this is a fantastic illustration of designing a highly distributed system, but one that's still tightly integrated. It basically simulates a cross-functional human team, but operating at machine speed. It enhances their CRM data insights, improves service quality, and importantly, maintains clear, structured accountability all through this orchestrated multi-agent design. It's like designing a digital bureaucracy that actually, works efficiently.
Wow, it's a powerful demonstration. It really shows this isn't just theoretical stuff. And what about Salesforce? Their enterprise architecture, EA agent, sounds like another great case.
Yes. The Salesforce EA agent is fascinating. It essentially acts as a virtual compliance consultant for their solution architects. It's built on their internal Agentforce platform, and it digests something like over 100,000 internal documents, policies, standards, best practices. Then it automatically flags potential compliance gaps in new solution designs, suggests best practices, points to relevant documents. So for a CIO or CTO, this means shifting compliance checking from this often manual after-the-fact burden to being an embedded, real-time function within the architectural design process itself. Think about the hours saved, the risk reduced. It ensures a much more consistent compliance posture across the board. It directly helps senior architects be more efficient and less risky. This really embodies that principle of embedding governance, not just bolting it on later.
And we also see examples like Geotab, the fleet telematics company. They're using AI to turn natural language questions like, how many of our trucks went over 60 miles per hour last week, into complex SQL queries. Which is huge, right? It democratizes access to really valuable analytics for non-technical users.
Yeah.
And then in travel, you have Priceline's Penny and Booking.com's Trip Planner. Both use these orchestrated multi-agent setups to create seamless, personalized customer experiences, pulling together recommendations, generative text, booking systems.
Exactly. The pattern becomes pretty clear when you look at these examples. You have specialized modular AI components. They're integrated, usually via APIs, and they're being treated as genuine first-class digital colleagues. Agentic AI isn't just experimental anymore. It's out there delivering real quantifiable business value now. And it's fundamentally reshaping how organizations, both public and private, operate and deliver value.
Okay, let's circle back to that psychological divide we talked about near the start, the FOMO versus the fatalism. Demo makes a really crucial point. It's not really a binary choice, is it? It's more like a spectrum. And the thing that kind of unifies this whole spectrum human reactions to AI, it boils down to trust.
Yes, and this raises a really important, maybe uncomfortable question for leaders. The article points to some, frankly, surprising survey data. Get this, 38% of workers said they would actually rather have an AI manager than their current human one. And what's maybe even more telling, when employees expect bias from a human supervisor, they rate AI evaluations as being more trustworthy. This isn't just about how good AI is getting. It really feels like a symptom of a deeper crisis of trust, specifically in human management within many organizations that was there long before AI became so prominent.
That is, wow. That's a profound insight, not just for HR, but really for anyone leading a team or an organization. Over half of workers believing AI is faster and more knowledgeable than their managers. Nearly 40% feeling more comfortable asking AI questions than their own boss. And Dima also notes this statistic that apparently 82% of managers kind of just fall into their role by chance, often without formal management training. It really shines a light on the fact that this isn't just a tech problem, or even just a human-AI interaction problem in isolation. It points to fundamental issues with existing organizational structures, management practices, and leadership development that AI is now just making impossible to ignore.
Precisely. It highlights that the psychological problem we often see with AI adoption. It frequently reflects these pre-existing organizational dysfunctions. Lack of transparency, perceived unfairness, maybe low psychological safety. So the real challenge, especially for the senior architects, CIOs, and CTOs trying to navigate this, it's about building a culture of transparency, fairness, and psychological safety. That's what makes the human-AI partnership actually feel trusted. And this is exactly where that human-first, AI-enabled architectural philosophy becomes so critical. It's an approach designed consciously to amplify human capabilities, provide clarity, build trust, not just automate away roles.
So for those senior architects, CIOs, and CTOs listening right now, what's the blueprint then? What are the key strategic architectural principles they need to focus on to build this trusted future?
Well, the article lays out 3 really critical principles. First, unified data as a foundational layer. This cannot be overstated. Fragmented, siloed data is probably the single biggest bottleneck for effective AI, especially for autonomous agents. They need a complete, unified, consistent picture of the world to function reliably. So architects absolutely must focus on rebuilding data pipelines for real-time processing, automating data governance, basically knitting together those scattered data sources into a cohesive whole. Think about it. For an AI agent's memory to be trustworthy and auditable, that underlying data architecture has got to be pristine. Data silos can literally kill an AI initiative before it even gets off the ground.
Okay, so job one for any CIO or CTO, tackle those data silos immediately. Because the reliability, the trustworthiness of any AI system you build on top depends directly on it. Makes sense. What's second?
Second is designing for resilience and scalability. AI systems, especially agentic ones, have to handle massive amounts of data, potentially huge user loads, and constant cycles of training and retraining. Architecturally, this points towards modular, microservices-based designs. And interestingly, that decentralized multi-agent system architecture we mentioned, it offers remarkable resilience because it avoids single points of failure. But it's more than just distributing the computational load. For AI agents, decentralized systems are really key for enabling adaptive, self-organizing behaviors that you just can't get from a single monolithic AI model. So for a CIO, this means thinking about distributing intelligence and decision-making, not just processing power. And that fundamentally changes how you design for emergent behavior and how you manage accountability within the system.
That's a really powerful distinction. Distributing intelligence, not just load. Okay, and the third principle?
Third, and absolutely critical, is embedding security, governance, and ethics as core tenets. These cannot be afterthoughts. They have to be baked into the architectural design right from the very beginning. Architects need to build in automated guardrails, set up continuous monitoring, enforce strict access controls. That robust human-in-the-loop governance framework is essential for maintaining oversight and, crucially, for managing accountability when, inevitably, an AI agent makes a mistake or behaves unexpectedly. And we're seeing forward-thinking organizations starting to establish things like ethical AI teams or data review boards, not just as compliance checkboxes, but as integral parts of the design and deployment process to proactively ensure fairness, transparency, and responsible AI use.
DEMA also gets practical, offering a guide specifically for solution architects, which kind of brings these big principles down to the ground level.
Yes, exactly. It covers the nuts and bolts. Things like using agile development and incremental modernization, especially when dealing with legacy systems. Defining really clear automation policies that specify where human oversight is mandatory. It emphasizes cloud-native principles, obviously, for scalability, baking in security and governance from day one, not trying to add it on later. And really importantly, it highlights the need for continuous lifecycle management for the large language models themselves, something often called LMAFEPs. This includes things like version control for models, automated retraining pipelines to deal with model drift, ensuring performance and trustworthiness over time. These are very practical, immediate steps any solution architect working with AI needs to be thinking about.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive into Dmytro Golodiuk's AI colleagues. The new org chart really drives it home, doesn't it? The evolution of the org chart to include AI agents, it's not really a choice anymore. It's a strategic imperative. And we're seeing real, measurable business value being delivered right now across different industries. This is directly impacting the strategic agenda for senior architects, CIOs, and CTOs today.
And yet, the transformation remains deeply human, doesn't it? That spectrum of reactions we discussed, from FOMO to fatalism, it just underscores that the biggest barrier often isn't the AI's capability. It's potentially a deficit of trust. Trust in the human systems, the management structures, and the technological systems that are supposed to support everyone. Addressing that trust deficit through really thoughtful architecture and equally thoughtful leadership seems absolutely central to navigating this future successfully.
So the path forward seems to demand this unified approach, right? Robust, forward-thinking architecture, married with genuinely visionary, human-centric leadership. Enterprise architects have to ditch the static plans and embrace dynamic, real-time system thinking. And solution architects really need to design with that human-first, AI-enabled philosophy, front and center building systems that genuinely amplify human potential, not aim to diminish it.
Which leaves us with a really important question for you, the listener, to think about. If the core problem isn't really AI itself, but maybe a reflection of dysfunctions already present in our organizations, how might you start to reimagine your own company's approach to trust, to transparency, to psychological safety? How could that fundamentally reshape the potential for successful human-AI collaboration in your workplace?
That's a powerful thought to chew on as we wrap up this deep dive. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for tuning in to Archicraft. This episode was generated using AI from Dmitro Golodiuk's blog at demongo.com/news. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the show on your favorite platform and share it with fellow architects and engineers. Until next time, build smart, architect with intent.